All right, hello class. Happy Friday. Fridays are days that nobody goes to school. We don't go to school on Fridays. We just watch this little video and do a little bit of work that way, okay? So we're going to review our letters we learned in just a minute. But first, I want to show you how we're going to do journals. We're going to do them a little bit new way next week on some of the days. So even if you have a journal at home, you don't need to get it out right now. You can just watch and listen, okay? So let's pretend like it's next week and we're going to do journals a little bit different. You're going to be doing more writing in the journals next week. All right, so let's say that maybe we can start writing the date. I always have this on the board that shows the date. And when we're doing writing, we always write in pencil, right? We always want to write in pencil. We can draw and color and markers and crayons and colored pencils, but when we're writing letters, unless we're doing our markers and our boards in foundations, when we're writing letters on paper, usually we use a pencil, okay? So we're always going to do writing in pencil in our journals. Okay, so the date. Does this look familiar like your journal you have at school or at home? You would do a capital S, a lowercase e, a lowercase p, and then look, there's a space. There's a space there. So I'm going to do a space on my paper right there. And the number 10, because today is September 10th. So September is a really long word, so we're only going to write the first 3 letters. We're just going to write its nickname or its abbreviation, September 10th. And then we do a little comma, which is just a little line on the grass line, and then the year, 2020 means 2020, the year 2020. So 2020. Okay, so we're always going to write the date in pencil. We're always going to write it right up there on this line at the top of the page. This is where we do our drawing right here. And then down here is where we do our writing. Because look, there's skyline, there's plain line, there's grass line, there's worm line. But they're really close together because we can write in 4 different rows. There's a lot of area to write there, okay? Lots of rows. Okay, so let's pretend like we were doing our journal and we were coming up with as many M words as we can to write in our journal. Well, some of the M words that you all came up with yesterday, mom, monkey, moth, monster truck, and monster. Those weren't all the M words you came up with. Those were just some. You came up with so many more. It was amazing, and I wrote them on the board. These are just some of them. So next week, maybe if we are coming up with words to write in our journal with a new letter, you can raise your hand, and you can tell me the word, and I'll write it on the board and draw a little picture next to it. So you know that says mom. This is supposed to be a monkey, but I'm not a very good artist. This is monkey. This is moth, monster truck, and monster. That'll help you remember which word is which. And then you can choose a couple words to copy off the board and write in your journal. You don't have to do all of them. You can just choose a couple, maybe 3. We'll choose 3 words. Let's see. I want to choose mom. So then with my pencil, in the lines, the best you can, I would write mom. And then up here, I could draw a picture of my mom. And I don't have any colors with me right now, but if I had some markers or crayons or colored pencils, I could color my mom in, okay? So do you see how I wrote mom, M-O-M, from the plain line to the grass line? So try to write in the lines the best you can. And then you could color in your picture of mom. So let's see, I've already written 1 word. I need to write 2 more. Let's say I want to write moth too, moth. So I would copy it from the board. M, and then O, And then up here I could draw a picture of a moth. There we go. It's flying around at night. And if I had some colors, I'd color in my moth. So I have mom and moth. I've written 2 words in my journal and drawn the pictures for each. So I need to do 3, so I just need 1 more. Okay, now I think I want to do monster. But if you wanted, you could choose any of them. It's up to you which ones you'd want to do in your journal. So I'd write monster in the lines. I'd copy it off the board the best I can. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then I could draw a monster, and you can draw your monster if you chose monster any way you want. Okay, so next week, I think Tuesday's the first day we're going to do journal like this. Next week, you are going to tell me as many words as you can that start with a new letter, a new certain letter we do. And then I'll write them up on the board, and I'll put little pictures next to each so you know which one's which. And then you try to write as many as you can in your journals using pencil. And then you can use colors, markers, crayons, colored pencils, anything you want for the drawing in your journal. Okay? So that's how we're going to do some of our journal next week. Not every day next week, just a couple days next week. Okay, let's go over. Let me erase my board here. And then let's go over how to write the new letters we learned this week and their sounds. Do you remember we learned 2 new letters this week? Do you remember what they are? They're kind of similar, but they're not exactly the same. Do you remember? They were, let me see if I have my cards. They were the letters N and M. So they're not exactly the same, but they're similar. So M has 2 humps, right? And makes a m sound, like man. N only has 1 hump and makes a n sound, like nut. Okay, let's talk about N or M first. So uppercase M has some straight lines. Lowercase m has some curvy lines. And they have a man to help you remember. M makes a m sound like man. So we say M, man, m. So look at my mouth when I say the M sound. Look at it. M, m. Look, my lips are together when I say the M sound. M, man. Kind of like you ate something really yummy. Mmm, that's good. That's the M sound, okay? So N is a little different because N, look at my mouth when I make the N sound. N makes a n sound. So my tongue is on the top of my mouth, but my lips aren't together, right? When I make an M sound, I go with my lips together. But when I make an N sound, look at how my mouth looks. See, it's a little bit different. So N makes a n sound like nut. And we came up with so many other ones. Nose, neck. We came up with a bunch of N words. All right. Nut is one of them. All right. So we say N, nut, n. All right. Let's practice writing them. So we have been doing such an awesome job with our markers and our boards, working on handwriting in the lines, right? In the right lines. We've been using this side of the board a lot. But now, today, let's try using the other side of the board. Okay, now, if you have your board at home, great, you can get it out with your marker and board and you can follow along. If you don't have your board at home, if you brought your board back to school, that's okay too. You can just watch or you can just use any piece of paper, okay? It's up to you. All right, I'm gonna turn my board over to the little side. We're gonna use this side for the first time. Look at this, here's my skyline. Here's my plane line, here's my grass line. But then I have other rows. Look, it does it again. Here's another skyline, plane line, grass line, worm line. And another skyline, plane line, grass line, worm line. And they're much closer together than they are on this side, right? So we have to write smaller. Okay, let's do uppercase N first. So uppercase N, we start at the skyline and we go down to the grass line. And then start where you first started on the skyline and slant forward down to the grass line and then straight back up to the skyline. And there's our uppercase N. Mine's not perfect, but I did the best I could, right? That's all that matters. Do you see how it doesn't go above the skyline and it doesn't go below the grass line? Mine went a little bit above the skyline, but I did the best I could, okay? Now, let's try some lowercase n. Oh my goodness, lowercase n is going to be really small because look how close together the lines are. Lowercase n goes from skyline to grass line, and then we go, plain line to grass line. Oh, sorry guys. Plain line to grass line. And then we start on the plane line again and give it one hump down, curve down to the grass line. So here's my uppercase N, makes a N sound, and my lowercase n makes a N sound, okay? So lowercase n only goes from plane line to grass line. Now, let's practice M. Let's practice M now. Let's go to our next row. Look at that. In the next row, here's skyline, here's plane line, here's grass line, here's worm line. Let's try to do M in these lines. Let's start with uppercase M first. Okay, uppercase M, we're going to start on the skyline and go straight down to the grass line. Then I'm going to start on the skyline, the same place, and I'm going to slant down to the grass line, slant back up to the skyline, and then go back down to the grass line. That's a lot of up and downs for uppercase M. Look at that. Make sure your uppercase M doesn't go above the skyline or below the grass line. You remember there's another way to do uppercase M first. I know Charles showed us some of these. So for this way, and they're both okay, you can choose which one you want to do. You start at the skyline and you go down to the grass line. And then you start in the same spot on the skyline, but when you slant down, you only slant down to the plane line. And then back up to the skyline, and then all the way back down to the grass line. You can choose either way. They're both good uppercase M's, either way. All right, let's try lowercase m. Lowercase m has some curves, right? All right, so lowercase m, we're going to start on the plane line. It's going to be so tiny. We start on the plane line and we go down to the grass line, and then start where you started on the plane line again, and then give it one hump down to the grass line and another hump down to the grass line. And there's lowercase m. So lowercase m does not go above the plane line, and it doesn't go below the grass line. So if this is a little tricky to do it this small in the lines, it's tricky, right? If it's a little hard, that's okay. It's definitely harder to write smaller, right? So don't worry. We're still going to be using both sides of the board, okay? I just wanted to introduce this side, all right? All right, let's go ahead and put our marker caps back on nice and tight so they don't dry out. And let's put them back in your cloth foundation bag. And then let's erase our boards so they're nice and clean and ready to go next time. And let's put both back in our cloth foundation bag and Velcro it up so we don't lose anything. All right, we're almost done. I thought we could just read a little story and then we could be all done, okay? This book is called Giraffes Can't Dance. Ooh, looks like he's dancing to me. Okay, let's see. Gerald was a tall giraffe. Oh, Gerald, like Gerald in the Mo Willems books, like the elephant. They're both named Gerald. Interesting. Whose neck was long and slim, but his knees were awfully crooked. and his legs were rather thin. So I can see from this illustration that this looks like Africa. This looks like the savanna in the continent of Africa. And we know that giraffes live in Africa. We are going to study all about each continent later in the year in social studies. He was very good at standing still and munching shoots of trees, but when he tried to run around, he buckled at the knees. Oh, that means he falls over when he tries to run around fast. He's a little bit clumsy, maybe. Maybe it's because he's so tall and he has such long legs. Now, every year in Africa, they hold the jungle dance, where every single animal turns up to skip and prance. And this year, when the day arrived, poor Gerald felt so sad because when it came to dancing, he was really pretty bad. Oh, he thinks he's bad at dancing. This sign says, jungle dance. Look at all those other African animals that live in the continent of Africa. The warthogs started waltzing, and the rhinos rock and rolled. The lions danced a tango that was elegant and bold. So each type of those are types of dances. The waltz is a type of dance. And look, waltz starts with a W, and so does warthog. And then rock and roll, that's like a type of music. Rock and roll starts with an R, and so does rhino. And then lions, they did the tango. That's another type of dance. But look, tango starts with a T. Lion starts with an L. So those start with different letters. The chimps did a cha-cha with a very Latin feel. Ooh, so the chimpanzees did a cha-cha. Cha-cha is a type of dance. Cha-cha starts with a CH. And chimp, like chimpanzee, starts with a CH. And when CH are together, it makes a cha-cha sound. And 8 baboons then teamed up for a splendid Scottish reel. Oh, so Scottish reel is also a type of dance. Gerald swallowed bravely as he walked toward the floor, but the lions saw him coming and they soon began to roar. Hey, look at clumsy Gerald, the animals all sneered. Giraffes can't dance, you silly. Oh, Gerald, you're so weird. Oh, just because he dances different from them, they're all laughing at him, making fun of him. That's so sad. It's not a very nice thing to do, right? Just because somebody dances a little different from you. Gerald simply froze up. He was rooted to his spot. Oh, they're right, he thought. I'm useless. Oh, he feels really bad about himself now. So he crept off from the dance floor and he started walking home. He'd never felt so sad before. So sad and so alone. Oh, so we never want to make fun of people and make them feel like this, right? Then he found a little clearing and he looked up at the sky. The moon can be so beautiful, he whispered with a sigh. Excuse me, coughed a cricket, who'd seen Gerald earlier on, but sometimes when you're different, you just need a different song. Oh, so the little cricket who saw everything that happened said, just because you're different, maybe you just need a different song to dance to. Listen to the swaying grass and listen to the trees, to the moon, or to me, the sweetest music is those branches in the breeze. So imagine that the lovely moon is playing just for you. Everything makes music if you really want it to. Oh, so the little cricket just says, okay, just be quiet and listen to all the sounds around you, and it's going to sound like music. So Joe closed his eyes. He listens to the breeze, the wind blowing. He listens to the grass swaying in the wind. And with that, the cricket smiled and picked up his violin. Then Gerald felt his body do the most amazing thing. His hoofs had started shuffling, making circles on the floor. His neck was gently swaying, and his tail was swishing round. Ooh, he's starting to move his body. And just because it looks different from how the other animals were dancing, it doesn't mean it's bad. It's just different. It's just how Gerald wants to dance. He threw his arms out sideways and he swung them everywhere. Then he did a backward somersault and leapt up in the air. Gerald felt so wonderful. His mouth was open wide. I am dancing! Yes, I'm dancing! I am dancing, Gerald cried. Oh, he's so happy. Then, one by one, each animal who'd been there at the dance arrived, while Gerald boogied and watched him, quite entranced. They shouted, "It's a miracle! We must be in a dream. Gerald's the best dancer that we've ever seen." So it turns out he just needed to do his own kind of dance, and he's great at that kind. How did you learn to dance like that? Please, Gerald, tell us so. But Gerald simply twirled around and finished with a bow. Then he raised his head and looked up at the moon and stars above. And he said, "We all can dance," he said, "when we find music that we love." Oh, so he told everybody, just find music that you love and do your own kind of dance. Okay, so that book was called Giraffes Can't Dance. All right, everybody, I had such a great week with you. I had such a wonderful week. It was a little bit hard having some kids in the classroom and some kids at home, but I thought you all did an excellent job. You were so, so, so helpful, so thank you. All right, hope everybody has a great weekend. I'll see you Monday morning. Bye, everybody. Bye.